game night, you good with that? And then Wednesday night, can I have a table out front of the municipal building for our art gallery for people to safely use a pen and mark? Great, we're good. Anybody else want to add anything? Heidi, I don't want to leave you out.
Trick or treat.
I
do think you need to split these up.
Split them up, the
Yeah,
lights.
have a motion on the baker's side.
Trick or treat.
Okay.
I made a motion to have trick or treat.
So you need a second.
I need a second.
I second that.
Thank you, Rob. All four?
I make a
Tracy.
all four? Sorry.
3, 4.
Yep.
All against? Second pass.
I make a motion that we do the art, chili, game, and parade, all four things. Like you say, we're here for the community. We'll do all 5 things that week. I make that motion that we go ahead with art, chili, games, parade, and trick or treat.
Thank you.
And that's the next one.
Yeah, I'll second that. All four?
Thank you, Parks Committee, you guys did a wonderful job, great presentation, thank you. And I didn't mean to sound like I wanted to pick up, just, we gotta keep going. Sorry,
Do we
Ron.
have a
I
motion
got one
for
more.
the, money for the tent?
Yes, Tim. Go ahead, you,
Yeah, do we have a motion for money for the tent?
Yeah, I'll make a motion for the 10. That's a good idea.
I second that.
Thank you, Rob. All four?
Yes.
Thank you for your work on that, Dwayne.
Can I get flyers right away to post and put on our site?
She loves making flyers. And I say, she just loves making flyers.
Well, my philosophy is, since it is only a month away, we need to have a month of people getting the information out. So the quicker things are finalized,
I'll get
the
with
quicker I can do it.
So trick or treat would be what, from 6 to?
6 to 7:30, the parade starts at 4,
Yeah,
then
slow down. 6 to 7.
on Saturday, the last Saturday of the month.
The 31st.
But they're doing the parade at 4 o'clock that day. So they'll do the parade and then they'll do 6 to 7:30, like.
And then, one more thing,
Sounds
we're
good.
owed
Kids
a
need out.
movie.
Kids can't stay in the house all the time.
I know, I get it, I got a 12-year-old. One more thing, we got a movie owed to us from the bicentennial. What do you guys want to add to that, real quick? Anything? You guys want to do a movie at the end? After trick or treat?
It may be a lot to try to do it on Saturday,
Yes.
on top of the
Eh,
trick or
Paige
treat.
can do it.
Why not put it on top of game night?
Okay.
That was fine, yeah.
But then it's not
Then
a
it's
school
school
You
night.
night.
got downtown, everybody's already kind of down there milling around. And,
It's a school night, Thursday night.
what time does game night end?
I don't know if we'd be able to get it that quick, because he might already be booked, because he is a DJ, so.
She's got it.
And
They're booked,
I know, but this is free versus having to pay for it.
Let's do it on Saturday night. I don't think it's too much to go in a parade, costume contest, they're gonna be sugared up. And then watch your movie.
Okay.
And have a candy bag. You down? Everyone good? Kids are gonna be welcome to
Trick
the
or treat time.
Yeah.
Kids out. Kids out.
The kids can
Kids
stay.
have been in the house long enough.
Yeah, they got energy. Let's go to the next thing.
We're good on candy bags.
Yeah, we're good for candy bags.
But we have to buy that purchase these.
They're wearing a mask anyway.
That's right, it's fine.
Yeah.
Are you gonna purchase them and then give me the invoice to reimburse you?
No, I said I got them to go.
That's fine, that's fine, okay.
Suzanne, have you got a crew of people to help you fill bags?
That's something we're gonna meet tomorrow night. Remember, Parks Committee's meeting tomorrow night.
I did it before, we got it.
Heather, do you have something else to add?
One more thing,
Okay.
if we're gonna have a costume contest, I can go around the businesses and try to get donations, but I had a thought, why not just hand out ribbons like they do at like the horse show?
Okay.
Ribbons don't cost that much. You
It's
get
up to
bragging
us
rights.
as Parks Committee, and we're meeting tomorrow night, so we can
Yeah,
finalize
so
those
take that
details
away.
tomorrow.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, next, budget.
Well, let me message you guys tomorrow once I know how long it's gonna take me to acquire everything, and then we'll set the date, and then we'll also have to have one in November as well for the appropriations, the temporary appropriations for the beginning of the year until we get our numbers.
Okay.
Zoning? I think Rob covered zoning.
I think you did too.
Services?
I think we covered services pretty good too.
Yep.
Property maintenance? Finish, right?
Yes.
You got 5 active properties, one's been turned over to Corbin, which is on Main Street. The last one was on 9/4, was given to me. I inspected on 9/9, anything up?
No, I've seen
Property
it.
maintenance is blank driven.
Okay.
I don't go out and look for it, you know, you
I've
have
seen it.
before.
I was about to bring it tonight, I forgot.
And you guys have a problem down here because of tags. You don't have a police officer.
I know, we don't
And if
have.
I do it, I have to go to the Bureau of Motor Vehicles.
I got it, okay, I got it. Just ask a
The
question.
ante if you're gonna do it. So,
Gotcha.
that's what you get in trouble with, trying to go by tags or not.
So, for us to contact them. Good.
Right?
Property maintenance is working on the 120 Light Street. The camper is moved, and some of that trash is moved.
If you look at my report, it says that.
Yeah, but I wanted to tell you, I know I seen the camper go up my street.
I was there, I saw it the other day.
Yeah, and I did see the people sleeping in it for a week or two.
Yeah.
So, hey, we're working on it. Thanks, Dennis.
And to be clear about 303, you wrote them up and I see.
Certified letter should have went out today.
It didn't go out today, because we haven't had internet, I just got it today, and I had so many things from the whole
Okay,
week.
whenever it goes out.
So about the morning.
Whenever they accept it, that's when the 14 days start.
I see.
It doesn't start now, it's when the postmaster comes back and says she accepted it.
Thank you. Does that answer your question, Ms. Sue? Yeah. Thank you.
And you have a different owner there, you do not have the bank anymore.
Okay. So maybe with a different owner, we'll see different progress. We can always be hopeful.
They clean it up every time we do it, the bank always made them do it.
Yes.
We've never had a problem with the bank, they always went down and they still clean it up. You got a different owner, who knows now?
Right. Well, thank you for all the work that you do.
Development?
We're still in limbo through the court system and lawyers.
Old business?
I would like to address the old business on August 4th after our meeting. I called Tracy and both of us were frustrated with the recycling overflow. So we met, we worked together.
Looks good.
And then I immediately emailed Community Action. I was so glad that we could work together and it looks so
And
nice.
Texas says it didn't get done.
Yeah, I mean, within 5 days, we have beautiful new recycling containers, gravel, and I think that working together has made it look better and it's gonna work better all the way around. I forgot something on.
And I haven't noticed any trash blowing around there since we've done it.
Yeah, it looks nice, it's working better.
I mean, we work on it, we finally got it figured out.
Yep, that's what happens when we work together. So for new business, we have solicitor, oh, excuse me, solicitor.
Yeah, do you want to handle it?
So we do have two letters for our village solicitor position. One from Mr. Corbin and one from Mr. Nicodemus. They both met the deadline. Any discussion?
Can I ask something on that? What happened with the recent Tom Corbin?
What happened with Tom Corbin?
Is he not wanting no more?
He's in there.
He still wants it? I mean.
Yes, it was-
I read it.
he sent us the things for renewal,
Okay.
and most of the council said,
My opinion, I
no,
think
they
he lost-
wanted to
he's
go
been
out.
here for 40-some years, I think he lost it with Tom. He's been around so long, he knows the village, he knows the ins and outs of it. I think we need to stick with Tom.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Right?
And I was looking at Mr. Nicodemus, boy, he's got his fingers in a lot of things. And maybe he is that good, but everything he takes care of north of 33. And we've had Tom for so long, and I would like to see us stay with Tom. I guess I'm gonna ask the mayor directly, you brought this before council, you like Mr. Nicodemus because you have met him at your mayor's meetings, correct?
I have met both lawyers. And I
How
like
many
both
times, I
lawyers.
guess is my next question, how many times have you met Mr. Nicodemus and have you done any legal work with him?
I have not done any legal work with Mr. Nicodemus, and I've met him twice, as I have, spoke with Mr. Corbin a handful of times on the phone and through email, and met him once.
And you met him after, that was June, we had our meeting June, the first Monday in June or whatever, and then you met him that Friday, or that Thursday or the following Thursday, after we talked about that. What was your intent, or why did you want, you like Mr. Nicodemus before you met Mr. Corbin?
Well, as a mayor that is new to this position, I felt that Mr. Nicodemus represented himself well at the mayor meeting that I spoke with him. And, we just come together as mayors and talk about things that are facing, issues that are facing us, like water bills or crime and things. So I just had a good feeling from him.
Okay, and then you put that, or we put it in front of council. The first time you personally met Mr. Corbin, one of the things you told him, because my dad was with you, Mr. Mark was with you, and you said it's before council, we're putting out before council, and you met him at that time, and at that time
That was a matter of respect. I had gone there to talk about the annexation.
correct, right,
And so before I have taken his time and talk about annexation, I thought it would be respectful to let him
Correct.
know.
and I understand, but as mayor, why did it take you until after we talked about that before you met him? And I'm not trying to be
Well,
mean, I'm just
All right,
asking.
I'm happy to answer your questions. He canceled once, and he got in an accident the next week, and then the following week is when we finally were able to meet.
But that was in June, so from January to June is 6 months, 5 months that you couldn't have set up a meeting because you had been with Mr. Nicodemus once or twice in that same time. And I guess that's my question.
I'm happy to answer your questions. I hadn't been with Mr. Nicodemus in a capacity of a legal representation, and it was in a capacity of meeting with the mayors of Fairfield County.
Okay,
It was a social or somewhat business social aspect as mayors. In fact, September 17th, I'll be hosting for the mayors of Fairfield County here. And we just come together and discuss issues that we're facing. And so I hadn't met Mr. Nicodemus in a legal capacity or
So-
representation.
you like him as the mayor in that capacity as the mayor, that's what you met him as. And I'm just trying to pick your brain to help me
That's
decide
fine. Yeah,
what this outcome is. I personally don't think we need to switch. And I think your personality and your connection with Mr. Nicodemus to help you being a mayor is good. But I think we need our lawyer, is Tom, separate from a mayor lawyer combined.
No, isn't Tom
And
working
then I'm
on
not-
annex?
And he's still working on the annex? Yeah.
so
So I think we need to keep Tom in there to work with this.
if you read what he says, if there was a transition, Tom's happy to do that. So back to with what regard you're saying, as far as, I mean, we're not best friends or anything, we're friendly
No, it
as
is.
much as any other mayor may have been friendly with any other council or representation, a legal advisor. You know, Mr. Corbin, I'm gonna imagine, has created some relationships with people here that have served as a leader or mayor or council, right? He's been here 40
He's
years.
been over 40 years.
He has to
He knows the ins
know,
and outs of the mayor.
yeah, he has to know each one of the people
Okay,
that
and
have been here a
I
while.
just wanted to clarify to myself.
Yeah. He's also, familiar with running small municipality. He's, resume. So I felt like it was necessary to go out for a new interest. Village that is growing and going forward, maybe with new council members and a new lawyer, we could consider a new solicitor that would have the experience of a small village as a lawyer and a mayor.
We
That's
haven't
my
paid in
opinion.
full,
I'm sorry?
we haven't paid in full and everything, annexing.
I don't
Carrie
think he's
may know
paid in
that.
full.
Say that again?
Tom Court, we haven't paid in full money.
Our
He's monthly.
solicitor is paid as needed basis, same as our engineer, both of them. So if he's needed and he's working on something, then he bills us for what he's
So
done.
has he
So
been
it's
paid?
not a lump sum that he
So he
set
hasn't-
forth prior to, no.
So he hasn't been paid fully for it.
He has been paid for what he has done up to this date, yes.
Kind of
Because
like a monthly.
he bills me
Exactly.
monthly, so, yes.
Okay.
So I think one of the things that prompted this is that Mr. Corbin had decided to raise his rates. So that is one of the things that happened prior to her coming to the village to ask us, is that Mr. Tom Corbin had decided to raise his rates for the village. That is true. He did do
Yes.
that, and that was
He did.
prior to this.
Everybody's gonna raise their rate.
I know, but if you just
But
look
he's
at the people.
significantly raising it because he says that he doesn't do enough work for us for him to constitute continuing to do it at the rate that we've been paying him.
But he also is paying, charging us less than he does everybody else still.
Right.
even with the raise.
And I understand that. I think the other thing that prompted this, was some of the ways that some things have been handled. And so there were questions and discrepancies in the way that some of the things have been handled. And so when any time in any other community, when you get a new mayor, a new solicitor is always something that is taken into consideration. I know that bigger municipalities, obviously we're not bigger, but bigger municipalities, every time they change mayors, they almost, about 90% of the time, change solicitors. That is just something that goes with the change of office. So that's not unheard of, it's not unknown. I think that, yes, Mr. Corbin has been here for 40 years. My question is, how much longer is he going to practice law? How much longer is he going to be around? Is he, what?
He ain't dead yet.
He's only in his early sixties, he's still got at
Right.
least 10, 15 more years.
Right, but I think at a certain juncture, you get to a point where sometimes maybe fresh eyes are good. Someone who isn't so inside the community, who can take things and look at them with different perspective and different perceptions, so that they can look at things as a whole. Sometimes when you get too close to something, you only see what's in front of you, and you don't see the bigger picture. And I know for me, I disagree with the way that he handled the situation with selecting a council member months back. It was completely off base. I wrote a letter to the governor over the way that it was handled because it was completely mishandled. And the legal representation, I'm still talking, the legal representation that he gave was
It'll be a while.
inappropriate, and it didn't fit the situation in any way. And so my concern with that is we're taking a lot of, we're putting all of our eggs in one basket. We're taking his advice on everything we do. And that situation was completely and utterly off base. And so, yes, he has 40 years experience. And yes, I commend him for his service and everything he's done for this village. And I'm not trying to do away with that or discredit him in any manner. But when I look at that, I have concerns. I have concerns moving forward. Where are his interests vested? Is he too close to the situation? Is he looking everything at a whole?
the rates for each?
They were put in your box for Tom a couple months ago.
Well, he just got on last month,
Council.
so.
Yeah, I mean, I knew the council
Yes.
was like,
I believe on a
It was like
285.
2 something,
Yeah,
an hour.
hourly.
Yeah.
and,
I want to make the motion to
Hang
keep
on,
Tom
please.
Corbin and this move to be.
but we have more discussion from Dwayne and Tim.
I didn't see my hands.
Tim?
Dwayne, do you have anything?
You know, the only question I've got is, how is he moving forward on this annexation? I mean, I know that the doctor's office has been out there for how many years, and, you know, the annexation is going to include that doctor's office, and you know, I'm new on the committee, I don't know.
I can explain that. Part of the agreement for us to get the water and sewer was that they had to annex as soon as it was available. The last year or so, it has been a couple of the properties, it has to be continuous property. A couple of the property owners were leery and not wanting to do it, so he has been adamant about contacting them and doing all this stuff. And then now it was at the point that it had to be survey stuff done, because I think he's got all the approvals finally, I think. So it was at the point where surveys and stuff had to be done. And before, it was supposed to be the expense of the hospital to annex in, but when the hospital didn't do the annexation right away because of the stop, I don't know if he was supposed to contact the hospital to find out if they were still gonna pay for that part of it. And if not, then he would have to let us know what the expense is, because it would be a pretty large expense, because that's a pretty chunk of an area. So then we would have to agree on that pricing or whatever. So that is where he was at this point, until this. So I don't know if until we say yes, move forward on, or what did because they went to the meeting to get that information, but being that they were going out, he said, well, we're gonna hold off on getting you all that stuff until after we know if the information needs to go to the other solicitor or me.
Which I don't understand why he held off. I mean, he's still under hire, he still has a job to do, and COVID took enough of a delay.
And Ralph, what was it?
Right.
When we started this annexation 2 years ago, we were told, you know, this is not an overnight deal. You're gonna, he said, I've seen him, Tom told us, he's seen him take up 10 years. So it's not something that's gonna happen overnight.
Yeah, like I said, I'm just completely unaware of.
You have to get approval from townships and
And when we were in there, and Shar told me what her council, he just said, okay, I'm just putting it on the back burner till you decide what you're going to do in your solicitor.
And he said he wasn't sure if he wanted to, he had been considering bowing out before we
That's
came.
true.
He said, I've been in this for 40 years, I'm very busy and have a lot going on as well.
That's true.
And I'm not sure if I'll put my hat in the ring, was the way he put it.
he felt slighted, so.
Well, and then your letter to him, I think, inspired him to go ahead and do it.
I think so.
And that's with this, oh, it's not there. Yes,
I had a question for Holly when she's speaking, and I did not hear what the situation, you was not happy with Mr. Corbin. I didn't hear that.
So I wrote a letter and I read it to council several months back, before we chose a new member, before Dwayne was selected. And it was pertaining to the ORC codes where Mr. Corbin had stated that, we could not select a council member because of COVID, because of, I can't remember the exact ORC.
Right, that was way back in April or
Right, I
May.
understand, but that was incorrect. When you actually went on on to read the statute, that's not what it said. It had nothing to do with council members, it had nothing to do with any of us, it had only to do with the building committee, which we don't have a building committee. And it had to do with contracts, and it had to do with deadlines, and it was basically about construction, and it had nothing to do with us. So for me, to be someone who's not an attorney, to be able to look at that and see that, and then I went and got advice from an attorney who was a solicitor for the city of Columbus, and got advice from him, and he looked at the same code and what we were trying to do, and he agreed as my legal counsel, which I went on my own and did that. It was just because I looked at that and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And for me, so I went and I asked for my own legal advice, and I asked for someone with experience, and I was told that the advice we were being given was wrong. And so when I look at that, I'm like, I don't understand why he would do that. I don't know if he just didn't have time to read the whole thing or what, but as our solicitor, we're using him to make decisions every day. And that was a big decision, to move forward, to stop, to sit around, to wait. That's a big decision, especially with all the uncertainty that we already have going on. So for someone to give us the wrong advice, which I know they make mistakes, I know they're human, but that was something that, as a council member, I could plainly see in the RC. I could read as misinformation myself. And then I got legal advice and found out that, in fact, it was wrong. And so when I look at that, it makes me question things. And then right after that is when he raised his rates. It wasn't long after that. It was maybe the next month. He decided that he was going to raise his rates for us. So it all kind of fell in line leading up to the proposal for a new solicitor. And that's where I want to kind of, like, I know there's this whole, the picture you're painting is a little bit of nepotism. And I want to paint, maybe not intentionally, but that's the picture you're painting. And I want to paint the picture of the reality of facts. I want to put forward all the facts. I want to make sure that everyone in this room understands all the facts here. And there was misinformation given to us, legal advice that was wrong. And so, and that to me is like, I'm not saying I dislike him, I don't know him, but as a council member, when I look at that and that's my first real interaction with him, that makes me question other things. And that's where I stand.
Thank you.
Can I make a motion?
Some discussion though?
Yeah.
I want to keep Tom Cook,
I second that.
because he's been around the community too many years, he knows what's going on. We put somebody in there, and it's gonna cost us more money.
All for it? All opposed? Motion fails.
What did you vote? You not sure yet?
I'm not,
Tom's been around too many years, he knows the ins and outs of this county.
You've been around a lot of years and we've got votes. Do you have any other motions?
What did you do?
I didn't vote yet, Tim.
Oh, you did not?
No, I'm still waiting on.
Wait, I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
Because we got 2 and 3 right now, so.
Do we need more discussion for you?
Was it?
Well, I definitely want to do the right thing.
Yeah.
I'm more about
Can I add something? Most of the interactions is with me, because I'm the one that has to call in and do the stuff. There has been on occasion throughout the years that I felt that he was slow in getting us a response. But I think a lot of that is due to really researching before he finally gets us the information. Whether that was incorrect, I've been here 16, 17 years, and outside of just something slow to get a response because of him doing research, I haven't seen anything outside of that was questionable. So,
And I'm gonna add to that, you're not the only one that has to contact him.
legal issue or a contract, that's about the only time we do. And if you do hire somebody else, I would put it on a as-needed basis, not a contractual payment every month, it's just as-needed basis.
And council have contacted him as well.
It's
Years
difficult.
ago, we actually made it to where council wasn't supposed to, because when I first started, we were paying him like $60,000-$70,000 a year for legal fees, and it was just eating us alive. So we made an agreement with the councils, that there was a thing that if council wanted them to be contacted, that it would only be the mayor or the solicitor contacted with the information from them.
We didn't stick to that in April. Mr. Martin
Exactly.
actually.
So you think this new lure is gonna be cheaper?
Remember, I give it to the administrator and asked him and asked, the secretary asked them if they would do that, and they did do that.
Okay.
It's hard for me to vote yea or nay to somebody that I've never met. I just don't,
So you want to abstain?
yeah, I will abstain.
About tabling.
We
I have a
already made
question.
a motion.
Is there any way to use two solicitors, since we're not paying like, use him for the annexation, use someone for?
We actually do, because sometimes we use our regular solicitor for our personal stuff, but we also have a contract for $1 a year, but they don't ever have us pay it with the county prosecutor, so we can utilize the county prosecutor as well, city prosecutor.
It's a city prosecutor, it's free.
I guess
For
what
property
I'm,
maintenance and stuff.
I guess what I'm asking is, if there's ever a situation where we need legal counsel, if at that point we can come back and decide which solicitor we're using instead of going back and forth, this guy's better, this guy's better. I'm with Dwayne, I don't know the guy, and, I don't know his commitment to the village as far as not wanting to put a contract in before, not wanting to, when we ask for bids,
We can